Fiancée admitted to her friends she's only marrying me for money, so I dumped her and cut her off. I'm 29 years old, have an MBA, and hold a cushy position in my father's company. I know this might make me sound like some snobby rich kid, but hear me out. Growing up, we really weren't doing well. My family struggled a lot and was in serious debt. I was young at the time, so I don't know every single detail, but my dad made a very risky loan using our house as collateral, the only thing of value we owned since it was his grandfather's house. That loan was what helped him start his business, and despite a rocky start, things eventually got better. It wasn't fun when it was happening, but looking back, I'm very grateful I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I think it made me more down to earth and helped me appreciate the value of hard work. That's what inspired me to go out and get an MBA, because I wanted to add value to what my father had built. So as much as being the son in his father's company might sound like nepotism, I know I'm there on merit. I've worked hard and put in my own effort to help the company grow. Because of this, my family is now pretty well off, and I am too on a personal level. However, I've become very financially sensible since I know we didn't always have this money, and I consider it a big blessing. That's also why I've been cautious in relationships. I feel like it takes more effort to find people who aren't shallow when you have money. It's a little tougher to know who's there for you and not your bank account. In my mid-20s, when things were really taking off, I dated a lot. I mean a lot. Many of them didn't go past the first date. I'd say I only went on a third date a handful of times. About 2.5 years ago, I met someone who seemed different. She was gorgeous and her smile captivated me. Her name was Briana, and I found out she was a nurse, which made her even more attractive to me because I really respect that profession. I asked her for her number, and that's how things between us started. I've always been very cautious in relationships. When I start one, it's with the aim of going the distance. I always try to see if I can picture my future wife in someone before taking things seriously. I don't expect my money not to matter at all, but I don't want it to be the primary reason someone is with me. With Briana, I didn't see any of the usual gold digger behavior. She was smart, funny, amazing to talk to, and brought everything I wanted to the table. 2 years and some months after we met, I popped the question, and she said yes. As we speak, Briana is my fiancée, and I was extremely happy when she agreed to spend the rest of her life with me. Now here's where things started to sour a bit. When we got closer, Briana obviously learned more about my family's finances. A few months after the proposal, I brought up the idea of a prenup. Honestly, I thought it was a reasonable discussion to have, but she didn't see it that way. She flipped out, according to her, suggesting a prenup was bad for 2 reasons. First, it seemed like I didn't believe our relationship would last. Second, it meant I didn't trust her not to rob me blind if things didn't work out. We argued for a full hour before going to bed angry. Eventually, I let her know the prenup wouldn't be necessary. I know that was stupid, but I loved her immensely and didn't want the prenup to be the reason we fell apart. Things got better soon after that, and we moved on. A few days ago, though, something happened that shook me. One of Briana's colleagues was having a barbecue, and she invited me along. I thought it would be a good chance to meet some of the people she worked with, since she mentioned them often. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking my video. When we got there, everyone was nice, and I was having a good time. At one point, I went inside to use the bathroom. As I walked through the hallway, I overheard Briana talking with her friends. From the first sentence, it was clear they were talking about me. They started by complimenting how well I dressed, which transitioned into how expensive my clothes were, and then onto my money. Her friends were talking about how lucky she was to be with someone wealthy, and there was a lot of chirping and giggling. Then Briana said something that felt like a punch to the gut. He has a lot of money, and honestly, his money is the best part of him by far. That was followed by more giggling and laughter. She even added, he asked for a prenup. I said no, of course. I have to be able to cash out if things hit the rocks. At that point, I left and went back outside. I didn't need to use the bathroom anymore. On the drive home, she noticed something was off, but I didn't tell her what it was. I've been wrestling with it ever since. I don't know what to do. She was the perfect woman to me just a few days ago, and now I'm questioning everything. Part of me wants to talk to her about it, but another part thinks I should end things now before it's too late. I'm inclined to agree with those who say I should have stood my ground about the prenup. If I could go back, I might have done things differently. Regardless, I'm ready to revisit the prenup discussion. Depending on how she responds, I'm prepared to end things. I love Briana a lot, and it won't be easy to let her go, but I need to protect myself. I just want to make sure I've given things a fair chance. It's like driving a Ferrari straight into a speed bump, jarring and potentially catastrophic for your wallet. Don't miss out on the journey to 1,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button now and be part of something big before everyone else. But you're not OP. For every dark cloud has a silver lining, or in your case, a prenuptial agreement. It's the modern day equivalent of Cupid's arrow, ensuring that even if love flies out the window, your assets stay firmly in your bank account. And let's not forget your fiancé's candid commentary on your net worth. It's like a Yelp review for relationships. 5 stars for financial stability, but service could be better. If only love came with a money-back guarantee, right? Here's the update that I know a lot of you were waiting for. The story of my fiancée, whom I caught telling her friends that money was the best part of me. Things have come to a close, and I'm more than happy about the way they've gone. The first thing I needed to do was talk to Briana again regarding the prenup. I think it was about a week after we got back from the barbecue that I told her to sit down so we could have a discussion. I told her that we needed to discuss the prenup situation again, and just like last time, she flared up. I think it was even worse the second time around. She went on again about how it was just a sign that I didn't trust her and that I wasn't rooting for the relationship to work. I tried to shift things to how it was more about protecting my father's hard work. I own a sizable chunk of his company than myself, but she wasn't having it. She kept raging on, and I really did my best to get her to see my angle, but it wasn't working. I asked her whether she would marry me if I said the prenup was a must. She didn't seem to think about it long before she said that she would strongly reconsider our future together. I think it was at that point that I realized I wasn't going to win her. I let her know that after the first time, I was going to let the prenup go. So I asked her to guess why I was bringing it back up. Understandably, she was clueless on that front, so I told her that I would help her figure it out. I asked her to look back on a discussion she had with her nurse colleagues when we were at her friend's barbecue. She only said, "We talked about so many things, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't remember laughing and giggling with your friends as you said that my money was the best part of me? You don't remember telling them how you couldn't do a prenup with me because you wouldn't win the jackpot in case we divorce?" At that point, it was clear she remembered what I was talking about because she started to tremble and act extremely anxious. I was waiting for her to confirm or deny what I had said, but she didn't say anything. I prompted her to speak, but she was just looking at me while her hands were absolutely shaking. I don't know why, but that made me laugh, and I think me laughing made her turn on the waterworks. She started to cry and sob, all without saying anything to me about what I had said. At that point, it was starting to piss me off that she had nothing to say, and I wanted a reaction from her. So, I let her know that the wedding wasn't going to happen anymore. At that point, she fell to the ground, and I started hearing her mumbling words like, "please," over and over between all her tears and sniffles. I stood up, went to our room, locked the door, and went to bed. The next morning, she was waiting for me, and she looked like she hadn't slept all night. As soon as she saw me, she came to me and was being extra touchy, but I shrugged her off. She started to try to explain the context of what I had overheard. She claimed that she was just trying to fit into the whole gossip girl type vibe, and she didn't mean the things I'd heard her say. She blamed her friends and colleagues for being bad influences. She claimed that my money was never a part of the reason why she fell in love with me. I believe that was likely true initially, but I feel like she started to love the money more at a point. She said that she'd sign the prenup and it wouldn't be a problem for her. She said all that, but honestly didn't have anything to say to her. I took her hand in mine, looked her in the eye tenderly, and then slowly took the engagement ring off her finger. I paid way too much for that to end up in the hands of someone like her. That struck a nerve. She started to cry, but it quickly devolved into cursing me out. She said I was ugly. She said I had no charm. She said my penis was small. She called me gay. She said she had slept with a guy she met at a bar because she felt like it. I really don't know whether I believe that part or not, but it honestly doesn't matter at this point. She said my money was the only good thing about me, and she wished she had been able to milk me more. She basically pulled out every insult she could think of, and at that point, I started to laugh. That was when she began to throw things at me. As much as I wanted to be all stoic and indifferent, she started to talk some pretty dangerous things, so I retreated to the room and locked myself in. I think it was about 2 or 4 hours later when things quieted down, and I finally came out. She was gone, but she had trashed the entire place. I was furious, and in that moment, I was sure I had made the right move. I took pictures of everything that I could, and I retrieved some footage from one of the indoor cameras that I had. After that, I left the house to go sleep in a hotel because, honestly, it was absolute chaos, and I didn't even know where to start with the destruction. This is where I decided to start having fun. I went to her Facebook page and her Instagram page and looked for the post on each platform where she announced her engagement. Then I drafted a message. I hate to inform you that the wedding is off, and I am no longer engaged to Briana. She admitted to just being with me for my money, and when I confronted her about this, she lost her mind and destroyed my house. If you have any questions, ask her. I posted this as a reply to every single comment. She hates looking bad in front of people, so this part made me feel very satisfied. I then made my own post showing off the destruction she caused, as well as some short clips of her trashing the house during her temper tantrum. I tagged her family, friends, and even the hospital where she works. This last one was for fun, and it would be nice to have a little gossip start about her among her colleagues. Her parents tried to call me several times, but I didn't bother picking up. Honestly, it sucks that I have to cut ties with them because they were lovely people. But it is what it is. She called me tens of times after I had done all of this, and the one time I picked up, it was a mix of her crying and threatening to come and kill me for ruining her life. I really don't think anything I did was permanent, so she was just being dramatic. She shouted about how I humiliated her with the short clips I had posted, and that people now call her Bee of Tarth behind her back because she was acting aggressively in the video. I found that part hilarious. She kept crying about how everyone now looked at her differently. I won't lie, I had a little iota of concern that she would do something crazy because the tantrum she had thrown at home wasn't quite the Briana I knew. In the end, nothing happened, at least not yet. I called the event planner and told her to cancel everything related to the wedding. That part was heartbreaking to me, I'll admit, but I had to do it. Once that was done, I knew that she and I were done too. The best part for me is the fact that I'm taking her to court to compensate me for destroying my property. I asked her to pay up nicely, but she only called me some unsavory names, so I don't mind putting her through a little more stress just for the fun of it. She's going to have to pay for a lawyer, miss days off work, and hopefully in the end have to compensate me for everything that she destroyed. And trust me, it was a lot. As for now, this is still pending, but I have a recording of her being a bull in a china shop, and I've spoken to my lawyer, so there really isn't anything to worry about. She won't be slipping out of this one. There's still a little bit of hurt in my heart, considering that something I really had my hopes on isn't going to work, but I'm glad I found out the way she saw me sooner rather than later. I prefer the pain now instead of a lot more pain much later. Oh, and here's just a little update for anyone who might be reading this post at this point. I was awarded almost $10,000 for all the things she destroyed in my apartment, including hotel fees because I wasn't able to sleep there, and professional cleaning fees because the entire place was a mess. The smile on my face was huge because there I was taking money from her after our split. I guess she should have been the one with the prenup. From the moment you decided to revisit the prenup conversation, it was clear you were ready to take the reins of this runaway train. And when Briana showed her true colors, well, let's just say you handled the situation with the finesse of a seasoned diplomat or a strategist, depending on how you look at it. Your decision to call off the wedding and air out the dirty laundry on social media was a bold move, my friend, but one that seemed to bring you a sense of closure, and dare I say, a hefty reimbursement for the chaos left in Briana's wake. And let's not forget your impeccable sense of timing, dropping the bombshell about the canceled wedding while she's dealing with the fallout of her impromptu demolition derby. That's what I call a masterstroke. But perhaps the most satisfying part of this whole ordeal is the sweet taste of justice, served piping hot in the form of a nearly $10,000 settlement. It's like the universe saying, hey, OP, here's a little something for your troubles. While your heart may still be on the mend, your wallet is looking pretty healthy there, OP. All the best.